the meeting to order at 1 minute after 7. I would ask the city attorney to report on closed session, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. The City Council is in closed session this evening on two items. Public conference with legal counsel on existing litigation. Galt Citizens Responsible Planning versus City of Galt. City Council received an update and provided direction to Council. City Council is also in closed session on public employee performance evaluation relating to the City Manager. And this item will continue after the regular City Council meeting.
Roll call.
Not ready.
Uh-oh.
I'd like to give it.
Okay.
Where was he? Where was he? Where did he come from?
He's the sheriff.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Councilmembers Powers? Here. Singleton?
Here.
Shelton? Cruz?
Here.
Payne?
Here. At this time, I would invite you to join us in a moment of silent prayer, and following that, I would ask Councilman Cruz to lead us in a salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I know. Liz, would you read the video statement, please?
This meeting of the Galt City Council is being videotaped in its entirety and will be cablecast without interruption on Metro Cable 14, the Government Affairs channel on the Comcast and SureWest cable systems. Tonight's meeting can be seen on Channel 14 and will also be webcast at www.saxmetrocable.tv this Friday and Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Tonight's meeting can also be seen via live video streaming on the city's website at www.ci.galt.ca.us. A DVD copy is also available for checkout from any library branch. Members of the audience wishing to address council should fill out a speaker identification form and give it to the clerk. Please speak into the microphone excuse me, when addressing council and state your name for the record.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask for agenda approval. Are there any additions or deletions? None? If not, then we will move to presentations. And Mr. Halliday?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I'll take this opportunity to introduce Mark Clarkson. Mark is our new utility superintendent. This is his second day here. He brings a significant amount of experience in water and wastewater engineering. In addition to having a grade 5 treatment license, he's also a registered civil engineer. We're very, very anxious to have him get in, and he's jumped in with both feet, and looking forward to great things from him.
Well, welcome.
Well, on behalf of the council, I'm sure we all welcome you and happy to have you part of the team. If you'd like to say a few words.
Real quick, Mayor and City Council. Yeah, it's been a good process over the last couple of months, interviewing with staff and stuff, and it's a nice city you have here. We'll see how we work from here. But everything seems to be pretty good.
Great.
Good staff, good people that you have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next presentation.
Okay, Mr. Paul Lake from the Department of Human Assistance will give us a presentation on the Homeless Joint Powers Authority.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it'll be just, they have to come
Okay.
down. And then
Thank
I'll
you.
turn the lights down for you too in just a sec. Make sure it works. Yeah.
Little technical difficulties here, but our able city clerk will fix everything.
I took an improv class in college. I can
We might
tell
need it.
jokes or whatever.
Yeah. Take it away, Paul.
I noticed there's Matt's in the lobby list. She said Matt is in the lobby.
Matt.
Come on in, Matt.
You're receiving a packet that includes a letter that kind of outlines what I was going to talk about, and also at the back of it there should be the PowerPoint. So we'll do it without the technology, if that's okay. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. My name is Paul Lake. I'm the director of the Sacramento County Department of Human Assistance. As you may know, Sacramento County is currently working with homeless providers, advocates, city partners, and others to transition the management of a large portion of homeless programs from Sacramento County to a private nonprofit called Sacramento Steps Forward. I'm here this evening to talk about an important aspect of this transition, one that will ensure that residents, as represented by elected bodies such as your council, will continue to have a voice in the planning and implementation of the homeless service system in Sacramento and its surrounding communities as we transition the management of these programs from the public sector to the private sector. I'm here specifically to talk about a homeless joint powers authority that we are proposing to create that would play a significant role in setting priorities and objectives for this nonprofit as they work with housing and urban development on funding and programs throughout the county and the cities within the county. On your second slide, it outlines a brief history that I'd like to touch on, if I may. Back in 1993, or prior to 1993, homeless programs, the management of what we call the continuum of care, was managed by Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency. The continuum of care is essentially about $15 million in HUD funding that we draw into this community, and we use to contract with numerous providers of services and shelter for the homeless. And SHRA managed that funding until 1993 when it was turned over to Sacramento County Department of Human Assistance. In 2006, HUD changed the way it provided funding, and one of their new requirements was to have each community create a 10-year plan to end chronic homelessness, and at the same time to create a policy board. Policy board made up of providers, consumers, advocates, community members, elected bodies, etc. So in 2006, we created that policy board and put together our 10-year plan to end chronic homelessness. I'm pleased to say about halfway through that plan, throughout the county, we have reduced the number of chronically homeless, which is defined as people who don't have any permanent stable housing for a year or more. We've reduced it by 50%. Unfortunately, what we have seen is a significant increase in the number of homeless families out there, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. In 2009, there was a shift of thinking within this community, particularly around the makeup of the policy board. The mayor of Sacramento took the lead in drawing in a lot more business people and also increasing the participation of other groups and renamed the policy board to Sacramento Steps Forward. In 2010, the county also started shifting its role in this, and it was primarily related to funding. HUD does not provide a significant amount of money for the administration of these programs, about 2%. So the county, in order to manage this $15 million on an annual basis, we have to apply for the money, we have to manage all the contracts, we have to do all the collaboration and coordination. We use county general fund to do that, to have the staff to do that. With the county's fiscal challenges, that funding has significantly reduced, and we realized at a certain point in time last year that the county could no longer provide enough general fund to manage those programs, and that $15 million was at risk. So we started working with Sacramento Steps Forward to shift to a public-private model. And this year, that transition has begun. There's now a new private nonprofit called Sacramento Steps Forward, the same name as the policy board, that incorporated this year. They now have an executive director on board, and HUD has designated them the quote-unquote lead agency for the continuum of care, which means they have now recognized Sacramento Steps Forward instead of the county as the lead agency to make that annual application and to coordinate the continuum of care. Tonight, I'm going to talk to you about the public part of this model, of this partnership, which we hope to complete by next year, and that is the creation of a joint powers authority. Now, every time I talk about creating a JPA for homeless programs, we can go ahead and switch to the next slide, please. People say, why would you want to create a joint powers authority for this? And it's very important that with the transition of the management of these funds and the work that goes behind it, the annual application identifies strategies, priorities, goals for the community as it addresses the issue of homelessness. It's very important that as we transition to that private piece of this model, that bodies such as yourself continue to play a role in setting those strategies and identifying those priorities. And in fact, HUD is going to, if they're going to continue to award that money to this community, they're going to want to know that the elected governments in this region are on board with what Sacramento Steps Forward is putting forward. So it's really critical that we have this JPA piece. Next. And so, yeah, maintaining that public role is critical. I also just want to identify a couple other bullets here. Homelessness, obviously, as you know, crosses jurisdictional lines. So it's not just the city of Sacramento's problem. It's not just the county of Sacramento's issue. All jurisdictions share in the issue of homelessness. It affects your communities, it affects your neighborhoods, it affects your residents. Regional collaboration is also a critical piece that we want the JPA to address. And as I said earlier, identifying what those priorities and what regional planning strategies we want to take is an important piece for this JPA. And the next bullet is probably, in my mind, probably the most critical. Again, you guys are the voice, you as elected bodies are the voice of your community. And it's critical that we have a conduit for your residents, your constituents, to be able to identify what the issues and what they think the priorities are. And you then would be able to play that role and help them be their voice in this process. And obviously a JPA enhances our opportunities for regional participation. The next slide lays out some complementary roles. This model of a joint public-private partnership with a nonprofit doing the administrative work and a JPA providing that important government role, it's patterned after a program in Alameda County. And it's not a homeless program, but it's a program that addresses youth needs in Alameda County. And we found it to be a really good model for what we do, where, again, these elected bodies have that role of being that conduit. So I've identified what those competing or complementary roles are between the JPA and Sacramento Steps Forward. The JPA, again, will identify those multi-jurisdictional policies. This is where we want to go. For example, we will say now, we could say this year, we got to shift our priorities and our strategies to address this issue of homeless families, okay, and away from the homeless individuals, for example. And you, as elected bodies, the JPA that we would create, would identify those priorities. Also, Sacramento Steps Forward would then use that information to set its goals in the annual application, in the management of the continuum of care. They would propose to HUD to fund programs that address the needs of homeless families, for example. Under grants and contracts, there are certain grants that only the private sector can access. That would be the role of Sacramento Steps Forward, the nonprofit. And there are grants that only the public sector, government entities, could access. That would be the role of the JPA. Sacramento Steps Forward would be responsible for that day-to-day collaboration, make sure the providers are working together, make sure they're working with the public entities that provide services. They would be responsible for evaluation, coordination, all that administrative stuff that my department currently does and won't be able to do anymore, and also promote community outreach and education. And again, on the other side, we'll go through that very quickly. As I mentioned, multi-jurisdictional priorities, cross-jurisdictional strategies, and those public-only grants. So on the next slide, more specifically, I want to identify some specific responsibilities for the JPA, collaboration being the number one. Staffing for this JPA will be proposed to be done jointly by myself and the executive director of the nonprofit. And that's how we can maintain the link at the staff level, as well as the JPA board that's proposed, and the board of directors for the nonprofit, which is already in place. We can make sure that that bridge occurs. The JPA's main role would be to advise Sacramento Steps Forward as it does the annual application and as it goes throughout the course of the year in the service provision system. The JPA would facilitate regional coordination. As different entities, your council, other cities, the county, need to do some joint work together, the JPA would be that forum to do that. And as I mentioned, accessing grants, and again, most importantly, involving the community and getting community input. There's a few structural issues that we want to put out there. We've actually put together some concepts that are a starting point for the discussion of this JPA. We're proposing membership of the JPA would be based on one representative per increment of 200,000 population, and for purposes of counting the county's population, it would only be the unincorporated area. We would look for elected officials only. We've had lots of discussion among a number of people. Should it be elected officials? Should it be staff such as myself? And we really think it's important enough as the elected officials in this community and as the representatives and spokespeople for your community. It really needs to have the elected officials there. We would propose no alternates or proxies, obviously a majority of a quorum. And we anticipate at this point in time 2 meetings per year at least, and it could be more should the JPA want to have more. I've received feedback on both sides. Some elected officials have said, I already go to too many meetings, so 2 is good for me, and others have said, you know, this is the kind of issue that probably requires more than 2. So that could be some discussion. So as far as what I'm looking for tonight, not only to update you on what our thinking is and bring this concept to you, I'm looking forward to any comments you might have on this proposed model, on this JPA. Perhaps give us a sense of if you would like your city to move forward in these discussions with us and the other cities. Any kind of general direction you can give. I realize this is not an action item, but any feedback you can give, particularly if you want me to continue working with Mr. Berman and probably the city attorney over time to develop this JPA and whoever the key staff contacts are. But mostly I'd really like to get your feedback on this, and I'm open to any questions you have.
Is this something that we can talk about, city attorney?
Certainly, you can provide the one-on-one feedback that Mr. Lake is asking for.
Do the council members have any thoughts? I know this is just sort of a snapshot of what you have in mind, but do you have any questions or thoughts in regards to this request?
No, actually, Jason, Mark, and I did attend one of the first original meetings that you guys had. Have you had any since then?
We have not had any more formal meetings with all of the elected officials. This is the follow-up to that meeting. And by the way, I should note that I'm meeting with all of the city councils over the course of the next 2 weeks. I met with the City of Rancho Cordova last night. You guys are number 2 on the schedule, and next week's going to be a busy week.
Okay. I think that you're working in the right direction, and I appreciate that you're taking your time to be doing this. It is something that we all need to look into. Homelessness is, like you said, there's families now, and I just think you guys are going in the right direction.
Any other comments?
For me, I heard pretty much from our meeting earlier this year. I think a lot's come together since that point in time. I'm really impressed. So let's keep moving in that direction, and anything we can do to help.
Okay, thank you.
I would just add that the picture of a homeless person or family is changing, and I'm seeing that in our community. Families double and tripling up in homes. Teenagers maybe out on the streets sooner with no home. So I think it's an issue that we see, and we need to do more than look at it. We're going to have to organize and figure out how we're going to handle it. And I think I interrupted you, Councilman.
No, I was letting you finish. I didn't know you were going to speak, but I have questions when you're finished.
Go ahead.
Oh.
I just made my comment.
I wasn't able to make the meeting, Mr. Lake. I just have some real quick questions. Obviously, your goals and priorities are to help the homeless and those who are in need of assistance. Can you touch on some of those points that you might be able to assist the homeless and what kind of services you can provide?
Well, the services that are in the continuum of care involve outreach and education. It involves connecting homeless individuals and families with the various services that are out there. And then primarily we contract with providers throughout the community who either provide shelter, whether it be emergency shelter, whether it be transitional housing, and also services that they provide. We have programs that provide employment services, that provide drug and alcohol counseling. We can connect them with the domestic violence services, which is also a growing portion of our homeless victims of domestic violence. We connect them with veteran services. About almost 1/5 of our homeless in this community are veterans. So it's just a wide variety of various services that through the HUD funding and the contracting, the county itself provides actually very little of the direct service. Most of it's through contracting with nonprofits.
Is there possibly any talk of job retraining? Say, for instance, somebody's laid off from a job because their job's been eliminated. Is there a possibility of them being retrained in another profession to better help them provide for the family?
Those are some of the services that are out there. For example, cottage housing out at McClellan. They in the Cerna Village. They also have, as part of their program, training and retraining programs. DHA has a number of contracts with SETA, Sacramento Employment Training Agency, that we use for all of our clients, and we work to also connect any homeless individuals who, are at that point where job training is the right direction, and we work to hook them up with those services.
Now, is SETA also being dependent on the state's budget to keep that open also?
SETA is very much dependent on federal money primarily.
Federal? Okay.
Yeah, and that money, if you follow WIA issues in Washington, is at risk as well.
Okay. You have private sponsors or supporters of for JPA?
We won't have any private members on the Joint Powers Authority Board. That's going to be simply public members, elected officials from the various jurisdictions. But the Sacramento Steps Forward, the nonprofit board, is made entirely of private sector people.
I was wondering, as far as funding, do you have any private supporters?
Sacramento Steps Forward is working on raising private funding, and we've had some private individuals step forward. At this point right now, our number one priority is the winter overflow shelter program, and we're getting private funding to help with that, in addition to the funding that the county has brought forward. We brought forward $150,000 to help shelter families who are going to be homeless this winter, who would otherwise be out on the street. We're working very closely with the faith community. Last year we had a second component of our winter shelter program was called the Winter Sanctuary program, and we had over 100 churches, synagogues, and mosques step forward, to use that term, last year to offer up their churches to house homeless individuals on a nightly basis, and folks spent the night with them and talked to them and whatnot, and we served over 100 individuals a night throughout the winter, and we've already got more churches volunteering this year than we had last year. Now we're looking for private funding to support that program. Our primary costs is transportation to get people to those churches, And the estimated costs for that are about $140,000 for the entire winter. We've raised, Sacramento Step Forward has raised about 40 of that. So we continue to go with private funders and just contributors from the community to help cover that cost. And then the third piece on the winter shelter is the hotel motel voucher program. And there was funding from SHRA last year of $100,000. And this was primarily for seniors, homeless, disabled homeless, and additional families to get them into hotels, motels through a voucher system. At this point, we don't have a penny for that, and we're looking for anybody who's willing to help fund that.
Just a couple more, real quick. It says here you want to involve and solicit community input. How do you plan on involving the community as far as their input?
Well, the JPA, what we would do is we would have public meetings, and the JPA would have to figure out how it wants to structure those, where we would, for example, an agenda on that Joint Powers Authority Board meeting might be, this is the proposed priorities for this year's strategic plan around homeless. Get input on that. Or it could simply be some type of an open forum where people who are concerned about the impacts of homeless or the needs of homeless or the growing homeless problem or have suggestions for programs, they would have that public forum, just like we had tonight, to come and speak before that JPA and say, here's what we think, here's what we want.
And elected officials only? Why is it just elected officials? I would think you would have at least one community representative on that board.
Well, with the Joint Powers Authority, at this point, the thinking is that the private sector is going to be represented through Sacramento Steps Forward and its board of directors, and the JPA is that public side of it. But that's part of the conversation, part of the feedback that we're looking for at this point, because that's just out there for part of the discussion.
Okay, Mr. Leck, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next presentation.
Next presentation is our Parks and Rec Department regarding online program registration.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight's actually an exciting night for the Parks and Rec Department. We'll be previewing for council our new online registration program for the Parks and Rec Department. Tonight I have Monica Lopez and Matt Marcotte here to provide the presentation for you of our new program, I hope. I'll hand over the mic to Monica.
Okay. Basically, our goal right now is as of November 1st, we will go live with our online registrations as well as accepting credit card payments, whether that's online or at the Parks and Rec Department offices. Going live on November 1st will be for our special interest classes, and our next goal after that would be easing into the rest of our programs, and we hope to be able to take T-ball instructional and girls softball registrations in January online and with the credit card payments. As of November 1st, we'll be able to do credit cards on-site or online. It's just those special interest programs are the only ones we're going to be able to do online initially. Some of the benefits for being able to do the online registrations, it's 24-hour availability for the public to register for the programs that we allow them access to online. And this hopefully, our goal is to alleviate some of the time for staff to let them focus on other projects and other activities in the office. Matt's going to help me demonstrate how to register online. I don't know. When we were just looking, the question that came up earlier, how many people do we have in the system? And we have over 9,000 people that have at one point or another registered for Parks and Recreation Department programs. Wow. I was number 18, and then I just put my husband in about 2 months ago, and he's number 9,300. So, wow. But again, if you move, decease, or whatever, it doesn't reassign your number, but we've had definitely 9,300 go through or at one point be put into our system. If you're already in our system, you already have been assigned an ID number and a password. If you have given us your email address and it is on our class registration program, you will be able to go online and tell them that you need your password or your information, and they'll be able to email it to you. If we don't have a current email for you in the system, It is something where you would actually need to physically come in so that we can see you and verify you are that person to give you that information. Once you have it, you can go on and change your password. Another thing is currently, because of the resident, non-resident definitions, we're not allowing new people to create accounts online. You would come into us, create the account, and then from that point forward, you can take care of your registrations online.
And to further validate the password, the accounts being able to send your password back to you, we actually experienced that tonight. So we were sent it back to ourselves. It worked perfectly. The website, as you notice, looks very similar to the city's website. This is not hosted on the city's servers. This is hosted remotely. So as you notice, here is the city's website. Eventually what will happen, you'll be able to click on online payments and go to the existing online payment utilities, but also be able to go through and do payments for program registrations or whatever other features we, in the future, decide to add. As well, you'll be able to go under I want to register for a program, various links throughout the website where it'll direct you to this new hosted webpage. The look and feel, generally speaking, is similar to our website. While it is similar, we are working within the limitations of the company that provides it, and so there's only so much that we can do to actually make it look exactly like our website. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and log in, actually as Monica. Go ahead and use her number, 18, and PIN that we recovered. Okay. Fairly simple. We're now logged in. Once we're logged in, we can actually go to her account if we wanted to look at information associated to her account or change a password for that matter. Just for reference, the system is running a little bit slow this evening. There's a couple things that are in play with it. One, we've got the online video going on, just going across the same internet pipeline. We are adding an additional pipeline later this week. It's a 100 megabit pipeline. And then as well, we have a server relocation we're doing within the city. So it'll run just a little bit slower this evening. So that's why I clicked on something and it takes a few minutes for it to change up what's going on. But we are pulling out of the actual class database from the Parks and Rec's office. So here you see we can make payments for the account. We can go in and look at particular people who are registered under Monica, and who she can register for. So she can register any of these people into programs. There's particular information for her. Changing the account PIN. The account PIN is basically her password into the website. So we can go through and change that as well. Here below we can see what some of her folks are already registered for. So she can go and take a look at that. And these she's saying here that these are ones that she's went on since we've created this website, since we've put it up into action. So I go over here to programs. Within the website, when you first get into it to look at the various programs that are available, it's fairly simple. You actually have to choose the category you want to go to. At this point in time, special interest classes are the only ones that we're offering. We're going to basically ease into the site and ease into the load on the site. If you remember back in the day when websites and .coms came on board, there were the UPS commercials where the guy all of a sudden put his business up and overnight he couldn't ship fast enough. Well, we want to be sure that we can handle the load appropriately, and so we're offering special interest because there's a little bit less registration on that. It'll prove the system out. By the time January hits, when our first sports events come on board that we want to start registering for, we should be fully up to speed and handle extra loads. So when we get large numbers of users coming on board, we'll definitely be polished at that point. So we're going to ease into it. As you're looking at the courses, We can go down and choose a particular course, so I'll choose baby ballet, for instance. Here you'll notice there's the various courses are available. And go ahead and choose to add one. And I'm going to choose put Anna in here. Okay, she's now been added to the baby ballet class. And at this point, I can go to either continue shopping or go to checkout. I'll go ahead and check out at this point. And here, very much like other websites, you can go in and put in your Visa card, put in your card number, expiration date, fill in the billing information, and complete your transaction. For safety purposes or identity theft purposes, we won't put that in, because we are on live video. That's pretty much it. It works very similar to other websites. There's not a huge amount to it, other than the fact that we're making people's life easier. It's available 24 hours a day, and as Monica and Armando mentioned, our goal at this point is to go live November 1st.
Cool. Good deal.
Okay.
Very good.
Any questions? Matt, it's nice to have you at our council meeting tonight.
Not hiding in the back room, yeah.
Questions?
Quick question down here.
That's it?
Mark.
Question.
Go
I noticed something when you brought up the credit card portion, Matt, that there was a field missing that normally is used online. Was it omitted on purpose, or is it just part of the process that we're using, or the company that we're using? The security codes on the back of the card?
The 3-digit security code
Correct.
you're thinking? I believe that it's the next step after, once you punch in your credit card, I believe that the next step on the next screen.
Okay, so it is there.
I remember having to add it.
Okay.
Right, yeah, and we have tested it through. I mean, technically, the system is live now. We could actually begin accepting now. However, we still have a little bit of polishing we want to do before we really release it, and that's why we haven't put the links out on the city's, website. You really have to know where you're going to get to it.
Okay, good. My biggest concern was that somebody misusing a credit card in the city having issue with debt as a result.
Sure. One of the things about the all the websites that have to process credit cards have to go through what's called PCI compliancy.
Right.
And this tool is PCI compliant.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions? No. If not, thank you very much. And we will go to public comment at this point, and our city clerk has left me, abandoned me, but I'm going to read it anyway. Under Government Code Section 54954.3, members of the public may address the council on non-agenda items. Thank you. Speakers may address council on any agenda item during consideration of the item. Speakers shall restrict their comments to issues that are within the subject jurisdiction of the City Council and limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Please fill out a speaker sheet located on the table inside the entrances to the council chambers and forward the completed speaker sheet to the city clerk, who has returned. Do you have any speakers? Okay.
Emily Hernandez.
Emily is one of our very active city council youth members, and she's here to talk about. Take it away, Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily Hernandez. I'm actually the Vice Chairman of Galt Council Youth Committee. I'm here to talk about one of the events we pitched to you guys in, I think it was May or April. It's a Halloween event that me, Jennifer Notnagel, and Mariah Franco, along with Barbara Paines, have been working for months on. It's really fun. It's an Addams Family theme. All my volunteers are going to be in costume. It's going to be really fun for parents and kids of all ages, people who can't really afford to go out trick-or-treating this year. It's a good way to have fun. It's this Saturday at 7 to 10 o'clock at night, and the admission is $3, and for a family of 4 or more, it's $10. So kids can come in costumes, families can come in costumes. We have prizes for the best costumes, and also we have games and activities for younger children. and it can be really, really fun. I enjoyed working with everyone planning it.
And it's going to be where?
At the Chabola Hall.
At the Chabola Hall, which is by Parks and Recs. Any questions for Emily? Emily, thank you so much for coming. I know you have homework to do, so.
I already finished it.
Oh, girl. I guess there's no questions. Mark?
No, no.
All right, thank you very much.
Bye.
Thanks, Emily.
You're welcome. And that's all the speaker sheets I have.
Any other speaker sheets? I guess not. So then we will move on to the information and consent calendar. Would you feel like reading it?
Sure.
Okay.
We have 5 items tonight. The first item, the minutes, approval of the minutes of the special and regular meetings of October 4th, 2011. Number 2, approval of the City of Galt warrants. Number 3, 2010 wastewater treatment plant, National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, permit compliance studies and reports. Number 4, First Amendment to the Galt Police Officers Association Memorandum of Understanding. And number 5, the Treasurer's Report for the period ending August 2011.
Do any of the council members want the recommended action read out for the public? No? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Powers?
Aye.
Councilmember Singleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Cruz?
Aye.
Councilmember Payne?
Aye. It's been approved unanimously. It just is strange without Randy here.
It is.
Puts me off beat.
I have room.
Okay, next item, scheduled matters. There aren't any. Regular calendar. And then we go to my favorite part, to report on the strategic plan. This is something that we had a meeting some time ago, set up our goals, and periodically I'm going to update you on our progress. So how are we doing technically here?
Well, technically, we're not doing well.
Technically, we're not doing well.
Hold on, let me see this.
One of our goals, while she's getting things in order, is to enhance economic development. We've completed a couple of those items, which I will read. Present the Buxton Galt retail market and site analysis to the City Council, including recommendations for action. Present to the City Council for action options to allow the redevelopment agency to proceed with activities and the expenditure of bond proceeds. Those are completed. Also, under enhanced economic development, we have present to existing local businesses results of the Buxton market and site analysis and provide training on available tools for local businesses to retain their business. And in fact, there will be a meeting in the morning at 8 o'clock at the Galt Police Department. The public is invited. We think we have a wealth of information. Mainly it's directed toward the business people, but anybody's invited to come. Okay, so I'm on, where am I now? Up.
Economic development.
I'm on number 7, enhance economic development. Got to number 7?
Oh.
There we go. Ensure completion of environmental and infrastructure studies to prepare the Simmerhorn commercial property for development. This is a big goal of ours and one that we are hopefully moving along on. Once the revised draft studies are completed, the CEQA consultant can proceed with completing the environmental analysis. Are we at that point yet?
We're providing comments back to the consultants on the infrastructure studies right now. So once that's complete, we get the final drafts of those, then we'll be moving on to the CEQA.
And I would mention that planning staff has also met with 2 different commercial broker developers interested in this project. Exciting. The next goal is to attract, develop, and retain quality staff. I would just say that you can see that we've completed item number 1 and number 4, and we have a couple of revisions there, so we'll move on to the next one. This 3-year goal is to improve financial stability and maintenance of reserves. Looking at item number 2 to report back on, provide to the City Council an overview of financial reports and solicit Council's feedback. And we actually have a workshop tomorrow at 2 o'clock so that our wonderful Finance Director can educate all of us on all these financial reports that we're looking at and ask questions so that we won't be like other jurisdictions that I won't mention that don't know where their money is. Look forward to it. Okay, next. This is increased community engagement, and it's item number 2. Recommend to the City Council for action the appropriation of funds for 2 additional community signs to be placed in 2 parks. We're still looking for input from the city, from the community. We put up a community events sign at the community park on Carilion and Walnut. It's been very successful. So when we have something successful, we want to continue with it. So we want to put 2 more signs like that. We just need to hear where you think it would be the most effective. Is that it? That's it. Okay. Then moving along. What's next?
We have the City Attorney's Office, Swainson Hawk Habitat Conservation Preserve, forming nonprofit corporation, granting conservation easement, adopting management plan, and approving grazing lease.
Good evening again, Mayor and council members. This is a joint staff report from Sandy and me, and I'm going to start off, and then Sandy will add anything I missed and add corrections at the end. I know there's a lot of moving parts to the staff report and the attachments, but it's really not as complicated as it may first seem. This program is really a cost-saving measure, both in the long term and the short term, as it relates to the city's obligation to provide Swainson Hawk mitigation acreage for a variety of city projects that have been undertaken, that are ongoing, and a couple that are in the future. There are 5 different projects that require Swainson Hawk mitigation, including the Walker Park project, the Central Galt Interchange, the wastewater treatment plant, the Twin Cities Roundabout, and in the future, the firing range project. And those 5 projects together require 62 acres of Swainson Hawk mitigation. So back in 2007, the City Council initiated this program by purchasing the property that is planned to be used for Swainson Hawk mitigation. And that was probably the biggest and most expensive part of this program. And we're now, many years later, at the end where we need to take the administrative steps of actually setting up the program. So there's basically three items that are before you tonight. The first one, probably the most important, is the Swainson Hawk Management Plan. And this is a document that sets forth how the city is obligated to maintain and preserve the foraging habitat for the Swainson Hawk. This document was prepared with a lot of consultation and review by the California Department of Fish and Game, and they have approved the document that is before you tonight for your approval. The second piece is a grazing lease, and one of the items required by the management plan is to have the property grazed because by lowering the amount of grass on the property and the height of the grass, that makes it able, or makes the Swainson's hawk able to find the food, the rodents, and other animals that live on the property, so it can retrieve them for its subsistence. And then the last part that is before you tonight is an item that deals with the monitoring agency. One item that's required whenever you establish a Swainson's hawk preserve is that there needs to be an independent agency that has monitoring and oversight, and that is typically performed by a nonprofit agency. And one of the options that the city has is to contract with a nonprofit agency and to pay that nonprofit agency to serve as the monitoring agency in perpetuity. But what we are proposing the City Council do tonight is to form its own nonprofit that would receive a conservation easement from the city that overlays this property, and this independent nonprofit agency would serve that goal in the future. This is an item that we think is a lower cost approach for the city. The City Council would be the directors of the nonprofit. City staff members would serve the various administrative roles of this nonprofit agency, and there's really not a lot of activity that this agency needs to do other than holding the conservation easement, ensuring that the land continues to be preserved in accordance with the management plan, and then biannually to prepare a report that goes to the Department of Fish and Game. So that's an overview of the program. The action items are broken down into two resolutions for your consideration tonight. The first one relates to approving the management plan and the grazing lease, and the second are the various items that relate to the formation of the nonprofit, and that includes approving the articles of incorporation, approving the bylaws, approving a support services agreement between the city and the nonprofit, approving a conservation deed, and I have a revised conservation easement deed for your consideration tonight. The city clerk's going to pass that out. Finally, to delegate to the city manager the authority to take any other steps necessary to form and get the nonprofit up and running. And one of the biggest steps that remains after tonight's action is to go to our friendly IRS service and the franchise tax board and to get confirmation from them that we've appropriately established a nonprofit agency, to get our nonprofit tax identification numbers. So that's an overview of the program. When you get to the point of considering motions, I will be happy to read the various resolutions into the record for your consideration. So Sandy, what do I need to add, or what haven't I covered?
No, I think you did a great job, Steve. I would add that the preserved property is directly north of the wastewater treatment plant, and it serves sort of an added benefit of providing an additional physical safety barrier for the police firing range as well as the police firing range expansion plan. So it has kind of a dual purpose.
Very good. Any questions, comments on this item? Then I would ask the city attorney to read the first resolution that we would be making a motion on, or are we going to do them all together?
I recommend that we do them separately.
Okay.
So the first resolution, which is actually listed as number 2 on your staff report, would be to adopt the resolution adopting the Galt Swainson's Hawk Preserve Management Plan, and further approving a 10-year grazing lease with B&J Dairy on the property, and authorizing the city manager to execute the lease.
Okay, that's the resolution. Is there a motion to that effect?
I motion we accept that resolution.
Thank you, Councilman Cruz. Is there a second? Second. We have a second from Vice Mayor Powers. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Powers? Aye. Councilmember Singleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Cruz?
Aye.
Councilmember, Mayor Payne?
Aye. Motion passed, 5-4. Next resolution, please.
Okay, the next resolution is to adopt a resolution approving the Articles of Incorporation and bylaws of the Galt Habitat Foundation and related matters, including a support services agreement and a conservation easement deed, and further authorizing the city manager to take any other steps necessary to form and implement the Galt Habitat Foundation.
Okay, you've heard that resolution. Is there a motion to that effect?
So move.
Vice Mayor Powers, is there a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Powers? Aye. Councilmember Singleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Cruz?
Aye.
Mayor Payne?
Aye. Motion passed 4-0. Are we finished with that one? Thank you very much. Next, we'll go to the City Manager's office.
Capital Improvement Program Project Update, September 2011.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. First, I wanted to thank Greg Holliday and his staff for preparing this update and for all the good work they do in carrying out the city's capital improvement program. A lot of hard work and effort goes into that. This is a quarterly update that we provide to the council on all the different capital improvement projects we have going on in the city, and as anyone can attest that drives their streets, there's a lot of things going on, most visibly, obviously, the Central Galt Interchange project. Right now, Crystal Way is torn up, hopefully to be reconstructed very shortly and reopened. And it's just one milestone after another. I'll direct people to the website that want specific details about next milestones and things like that, because it's always changing and being updated, but it's always updated up on our website. As typical, I'm not going to go into the different projects. We do want to see if council has any questions or anything. One of the things that I did notice the other day that I don't know how many members of the public or the council noticed, we've got it's a kind of a smaller, relatively smaller project in the grand scheme of things, but it's a really neat, exciting project. It's the streetlight retrofit project. We got some grant money last year to install these LED lights, street lights, and if you've seen them, looks like Councilmember Singleton has seen them. They're being put up around the city. I noticed it the other evening when I was driving down Elm Street, and it's literally night and day difference between the old lights and the new lights. The old ones kind of were yellowish and just a very, low. These ones, it's like daylight when you drive down the street. At least it was really bright white lights that light up the street. From a safety standpoint, it's going to be phenomenal. And the energy that's saved compared to the old lights is a tremendous cost savings to the city in the long run. So a lot of dual benefits. So if you're out and about, Galt, and you notice a difference in the street lights, that's what that project is all about. There's some other ones in here as well. We obviously have some water, wastewater projects going on, but
The pictures when you brought it, pictures when you brought it to council, or that you brought it to council, do not do it justice. I was going to save my comments for after, but your staff has done a great job. What an awesome, and seriously, it is day and night. I saw them up on Orr Road up there by Emerald Oak, and I thought a car was coming from a distance. I didn't know it was actually the overhead lamps, and I was like, holy crap, man, it's great.
Amazing.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Is that going to be all over town?
We have, how many, can't remember how many lights we have up around the city, but it's not anywhere near the entire city. It's a very
I
small.
think it's 188 lights. We've kind of spread mostly all over town. Some were clustered, but we tried to get them in various neighborhoods to share. We will be looking at trying to expand. We did as many as we could under the grant. So we'll be looking, if it's a positive reaction, to maybe trying to do some of that with some of our street monies as well.
Okay.
These people from a distance are going to be wondering what that glow is up to the horizon.
Anyways, any council have any questions on any of the projects we have going on right now?
If not, then we will, that was just for our,
Just an update.
just an update. We'll move to the next item.
Health benefit renewal.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. The report before you tonight is for the city's benefit renewal of the HealthNet and Kaiser medical plans. These are the only two that are up for renewal this year. Next year we will have the city's dental and vision plans, and the following year will be the life insurance plan. This year it's just health medical plans. The recommendation is to maintain both medical plans, which equates to a 14% increase to HealthNet and a 9.7% increase to the Kaiser premium. In the staff report, you'll see two charts which will show the breakdown of the city and the employee contributions of that premium, of both HealthNet and Kaiser. The city's share and the employee share will be increasing, and the city's share, the cost of that increase is currently covered in the approved budget. So there will not be a request for a supplemental appropriation at this time. The recommendation is to authorize the city's manager to sign these agreements, and if approved, the changes will go into effect December 1st. Employees will be able to make changes to their benefit choices, not just to HealthNet and Kaiser, but all of our plans during open enrollment, which is November 1st through the 15th. And again, changes go into effect December 1st. Can answer any questions if you have any.
I have a question, Paula. When you let the employees know, what their increase is, do you also write on the little note how much the city is paying for their?
Yes, they will see a similar chart that will show the entire premium and then the breakdown of the city and the employee share.
I think it's good that they know that we're contributing a lot to their health benefits.
A reminder.
Yeah.
Other comments or questions? What do we need here? Resolution.
So the proposed motion is to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign agreements with Kaiser and HealthNet for the 2011-2012 benefit year.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
We have
I'll second.
a motion and a second. Was there any other questions? Then go get that. Then I call for the vote.
Vice Mayor Powers?
Aye.
Councilmember Singleton?
Excuse me.
Councilmember
Aye.
Fitch?
Aye.
Mayor Payne?
Aye. Motion passed 4-0. Next item, Public Works Department.
Good job, Paula.
The subject adoption of mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program for the Live Oak Pump Station and Force Main project, and authorization of the city manager to enter into easement agreements with property owners Ryan Voorhees and Frank Rocha in the amount of $1,300 and $2,800 respectively.
Good evening. Because this item, the CEQA document, was advertised for this meeting, it had to be placed on the agenda. It's not quite ready, so we are asking that it be continued via the agenda to the November 1st meeting.
Okay, so no action will happen tonight. We will continue it to the next meeting. Do we need a motion to that effect?
No.
Okay, so it will be continued. Communications, any written communication? Anybody? I'm going to mention this, and I don't have all the information, but I did get a call that we had received a survey regarding mental health. Ms. She called me today, and she's anxious for our city council members to return the survey, fill it out. I know I've found my letter. I think we all have them. Mine's sitting in that whole stack, but we need to fill out the surveys and try and get them back.
Actually, I believe most of us received as an email.
Oh, I
I
got
think
mine.
you're the only one who received as a hard copy.
Okay, I got a hard copy.
Well, my thought on that, is she going to come and give us a presentation, or we're just going to have to muddle through it ourselves?
She's asking for us to read the survey, fill it out, and mail it back.
Well, it does take some discussion, because on, one of the pages is kind of what do we want to do as a city for this, so it's going to have to be on the agenda or something if we're going to.
Oh, no, I think she just wants our opinion, or what do you think, City Attorney? Is that something we have to agendize before we fill it out?
I haven't seen the,
Yeah, no, the last page does ask, are you going to do this, are you going to do this, are you going to do... It has to do with handing out flyers and things like that, so I think there has to be a discussion between all of us if we're going to
I think we need to
do that.
send staff and then.
I don't know if I've seen it or if Jason's seen it. My recommendation is that Staff take a look at it, and if it requires council action, that we place it on the next agenda for council consideration.
Okay. That's what we'll do then. That's okay, yeah. Okay, we will now adjourn the regular meeting and go to redevelopment agency. Roll call.
Board members Powers? Here. Singleton?
Here.
Shelton? Cruz?
Here.
Kane?
Here. Public comment?
I have no speaker sheets.
Okay. Consent calendar agenda, would you read that, please?
Okay, we have 3 items on the agenda. Number 1, the minutes of the meeting of October 4th, 2011. Number 2, the redevelopment agency warrants. And number 3, the treasurer's report for the period ending August 2011.
Any questions, or is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you very much. We have a first and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Board members Powers?
Aye.
Singleton?
Aye.
Shelton? Kane, Cruz?
Aye.
Kane?
Aye. Motion passed 4-0. We will now adjourn from redevelopment and reconvene to the Galt City Council with the city clerk's report.
Okay, just a couple reminders tonight. Tomorrow, October 19th, there is a meeting on financial information here in the council chambers at 2 o'clock for all the council members. On October 20th, there's a beautification committee meeting at 3:30 in the City Hall Community Room. On October 28th, there's a Commission on Aging meeting, 5:15 at the Park and Rec building in the California Room. And that takes us to our next City Council meeting on November 1st.
Okay. Any comments by staff? No comments? Okay. Then we will go to the council members. Councilman Cruz, do you have anything that
I
you
have
want to...
nothing for you tonight.
Councilman Singleton?
Just real quick, we were going through our strategic planning, and I haven't been able to report on, yeah, that's right.
I am so sorry.
What I'm working on as part of a community outreach is I'm going to try to get our neighborhood watch captains together and introduce them to a NET program, which I'm sure the chief has heard, knows about. No? Okay, well, I'll make sure you do. Okay. And what it does is introduce them to our CERT program so that our community can be more ready for disaster, and in hopes that the neighborhood watch captains can take it to their neighborhoods and get them also involved in our CERT program. So if we do, God forbid, something happen here in Galt, that we can be prepared and we won't have chaos. It'll be more of a controlled situation where everybody will know what to do. So hopefully here soon we'll get that going, and I'll advise you as the program goes along.
Thank you. I'm sorry I forgot you. I'm going to blame it on the technical difficulties.
I'm used to it. That's all right.
Vice Mayor?
Nothing to add.
Nothing? I would like to report back that I attended the first 5 advisory commissions. They are responsible for making recommendations to the advisory committee, the main one, about how to spend the money, the cigarette tax money. And one of the things they reported on was Sacramento County, man, can't talk, child death review. And the report is actually, it's from 2009, but it was still, it was pertinent, and I just wanted to share some of that with you. In 2009, we had 154 children die in the county, and the main cause of death, surprisingly, at least it was to me, was by drowning. There, of course, was other, causes of death, but I was really surprised that that was the main cause of death. Anyway, I do have this report. If anyone is really interested in the details, it'll be at the city clerk's office. I go to a lot of these meetings, and so I just like to report back to you once in a while I'm out of town in the city car. So there you go. Any other comments? You look like you have
I
something.
just remembered something from our League of California Cities.
Okay, speak up.
During the meeting towards the end, when we had all the cities getting together to vote on resolutions to go to the state, one of the things was brought up, actually ties in with something that Councilman Singleton brought up several months ago. That was bullying within the school system. And I'm very pleased to bring up the fact that legislation has been pushed forward in no small part on the behalf of the Elk Grove mayor, who really pushed this hard. The cities overall said, hey, we're all for this, so I believe it's going to the legislation next.
Okay.
So
Good. Thank
we're
you.
taking a step towards protecting our children.
Very good. Well, I'd hope to drag this out long enough so that Dan Lundgren, who's across the street, would join us. But I think I've run out of things to say, and we do need to reconvene to closed session. So at this point, we'll do so.